How do we take a dull average nightclub scene and transform it into a cool, vibrant light show effect? Using two simple steps, creating a mask and then applying a curves adjustment to that mask. Let me show you how it works. Now, I took this image a few weeks ago at a black tie event. The audience is quite dark, it's lacking in good overall lighting, a bit flat, and this corporate staging area is really not very good. So let's create our first mask, which is going to be a radial gradient. And we're going to place it over the heads of our guests. Then take the master curve and drag the white point in to meet the main body of that histogram. Just brighten things up nicely. Now let's really go to town with the separate channels, starting with the reds and dragging the white point in by a quarter segment. Same too with the black point, which gives us a hazy wash of red. But I'd rather it was more magenta to complement the blues in the scene. So using the blue channel, we can mix some blues into the red haze with 1/4 segment once again. A quick before and after. Now we're starting to look more like a party scene. Next up, we're going to add some cool lighting effects. Again, using a radial gradient, let's drag an oblong shape to resemble a spotlight. Have it come from the corner of the room. There, looks good. Now let's head into those curved channels and using the blue-black point, bring it all the way up to create that shard of light. But it's not quite a spotlight just yet. Click on the master curve and drag the white point to meet the histogram. And here's the trick. Take the dehaze slider and watch this. As you go negative, a hot spot begins to appear within the spotlight, making it look more realistic. Now what we can do is duplicate the mask and position it to another area on the ceiling. Maybe shorten it so it looks more realistic, a little bit narrower, and then tweak the dehaze to blend that hotspot that we previously created. And I feel like it's spilling over onto the audience, so let's subtract using a brush and paint away that offending area. Finally, one more duplicate to really enhance this lighting effect we're going for. Now we need to sort that horrible lightwood floor. Another radial gradient placed over the middle bottom portion of the image and reduce down the exposure by almost 4 stops. Now we can add some of those blues using curves once again. Really pushing the white point and a small tweak on the dehaze. Now that's looking less corporate and more nightclub. This wall behind the sax player needs a bit of care and attention, so let's create a linear gradient. Same as the floor, we're going to reduce the exposure by quite a bit. Then using the same color process as we used for the crowd of people, repeat the process on the red channel, 1/4 segment. And of course, the blue channel will give us the sumptuous purples and magentas. Now, before we move on to these classic green laser effects, I want to create more atmosphere behind the lead singer to make him stand out even more and to enhance that hazy mist in the distance. You've guessed it, another radial gradient. There, looks good to me, but what we need to do is intersect the gradient with that lead singer. Select the person, and with any luck, he should appear in the list, which he does. Create an entire person mask. Then invert the mask so only the background behind him is selected. Now we can make the adjustments with the master curve. Black point up to fade the shadows, and to match the warm tones of the spotlight above him, we can introduce some of those yellows. Not too much, just a subtle amount. Maybe a spot of negative dehaze. Now you'll notice the female singer was not included in this mask, so we need to subtract the haze effect from her using a brush with less of a feathered edge. Now we can paint away and sort any of the other missed areas. That's looking nice. Quick before and after. Yes. And before we introduce this final effect, let's bathe the ceiling in that cool blue wash, just as we did with the floor. Now we could leave it there and deliver this image to the client, but let's indulge and create some classic nightclub laser beams which really top off the image nicely. We can do this with our trusty radial gradient. Draw a long, thin radial and position it pointing towards the back of the room. Then make this radial as thin as possible. Now we can use the green channel in curves and drag that black point up towards the top. Same too with the master black curve point to really make this laser beam pop. For the final couple of adjustments, I'll duplicate the first layer and create this fanned out effect, spreading out over the heads of the crowd. And we'll need to make them progressively shorter to create distance. And to marry these lasers together, I think we need a hazy radial gradient over the point of origin. Let's place it over. Probably there will work. And guess what? In the curved's green channel, increase the black point to fade the green wash in. And we've gone from a fairly dull, low energy scene to a vibrant nightclub scene with cool lights, atmosphere, and using essentially one adjustment feature, the mighty curves. And of course, with curves, you have 3 individual channels, red, green, and blue. And if you mix these together, you can create any combination of color you wish. In this image alone, I produced blue, magenta, yellow, and green on those lasers. I have a Lightroom preset pack. If you're interested, I'll pop links to those in the description below. I also have a headshot photography course. So if you're interested in portrait work, the course includes rigging, lighting, camera settings, posing, the business side of things, and editing. So I'll pop links to all of those in the description below. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more photography content. I'll see you on the flip side.